Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the April 11th Plympton Board of Selectmen meeting. Welcome. Gee, I'm away for 1 week and I forgot how we start this. So just a reminder, this meeting is being recorded for cablecast and YouTube presentation by Area 58 Community Access Media, and we're thankful for that. Usually a member of the print press is here, and aha! Oh, there you are. It's,
different seat.
yeah, larger than life there. Just a reminder, the video of this meeting is not to be considered an official public document. So a few ground rules. I think everyone heard these over and over again, but just quickly, we do try to practice patient urgency. We do try to be time sensitive in our comments so that everyone that wants to speak has a chance to. We do have a parking lot for agenda items or things that come up that maybe need attention but don't fit into the agenda for any particular evening. We do try to practice civility in our discourse and as a way to encourage people to be involved in town government. And as best we can, even with controversial issues, we do try to bring along as best we can some joy and laughter to the serious business of trying to do governance in this town. So everyone agree to those ground rules? So we will start with a few moments of silence to prepare for what's ahead, or maybe just enjoy a moment of silence, or maybe garner some gratitude for the opportunity we have to help the town that we like so much. So a few moments of silence. All right. So again, good evening, everyone. The agenda has been published along with the notice of meeting. Are there any other agenda items that aren't on the agenda that people would like considered this evening? Okay, so onward. We have several appointments tonight. Originally, we expected we'd meet with FinCom at 7 p.m. They had a little bit of problem with their notice of meeting, so that isn't going to happen tonight. There will be Wednesday night a joint FinCom and Selectmen meeting, probably starting at 6:30 or 6:45. We do have Ted Toronto here to discuss Eversource land at 6:30. At 6:45, we're scheduled to talk about the marijuana grow facility. In between all this, we'll fit things in along the way. We do have Zach here from Borrego Solar, and we're going to get that near the top of the agenda, though I want to wait a few minutes for John Trainer to come because he's had a lot of conversations on this. So I think some of this may come a little bit out of order, but we'll start, I guess, with the report from Town Council concerning the Brook Retreat. And okay. There you go.
All right, I spoke with Alana, I think it was Wednesday of this past week, and what I want to start by saying is that if, in fact, the Brook Retreat are doing what they have said they're going to be doing, which is rehabilitating attics, I think we can all agree that is a really good thing. According to Alana, she said that supposedly their curriculum is based on the AA Big Book. She said that, in her opinion, that was enough to qualify for the educational exemption per the Dover Amendment. She said, we have no authority to require any certifications or for them to do anything. She said, all we can do is ask neighbors to keep a log of unlawful or inappropriate activity to see if the house rises to the level of a public nuisance. I've done quite a bit of work on this. I verified that they do have all of their documentation in order, what is it? Nonprofit, that's what it is. So all of that documentation is in order. They're in good standing with the William Francis Galvin's office, and but in my readings with this, I found that the AA Big Book is more of a religious activity than educational. And in fact, there have been some lawsuits against the government that have shown that this is religious as well. So my question now to Alana would be, if the program is religious, more religious than educational, does this meet the requirements for the Dover Amendment? So that's something that I would want to speak to Alana about. We are supposed to be performing annual inspections to confirm the curriculum. We haven't seen the curriculum. I don't believe any inspections have been done. They're supposed to be done by the zoning enforcement officer. I think because Bob Carling had to recuse himself, that may have slipped through the cracks. So that's something that we need to do. I would also recommend that we go back to them with what they agreed to do when they met with the town. I have the meeting minutes. And this is what was presented by the principals, and this is according to the minutes of September 8th, 2014, and I think Dale was the one that actually, yep, Dale did the minutes. Okay, so presentation by principals. Guests will come from a prior 30-day program. No violent or sex offenders will be allowed. There will be a zero tolerance policy for opiate medications. All guests will be Cory checked. Security cameras will be installed. Sprinklers will be installed. The program is spiritual in nature, which I agree, because the AA program does seem to be more religious than educational. And the home will pay property taxes. So I would recommend that we send these gentlemen a letter with a copy of the minutes and ask them to do what they said they were going to do when they came in here and made the presentation. Granted, we have no authority to make them do this, but I think in good faith that they at least need to do the Cory check and have no violent or sex offenders. So that's something that I would like to see them do. Also, there is some activity with the Dover Amendment. The Senate has a bill, it's number 224, to do a study basically on the Dover Amendment. And the commission shall study the impact of the educational exemption provided by the Dover Amendment on municipalities and nonprofit education institutions, which shall include a review of the types of building projects cited under the protection of the Dover Amendment and the case law decided on the educational exemption. The commission shall solicit public testimony either by holding public hearings or through surveys. And this was, as of 4/7/2016, it says the Senate accompanied a study order. So it looks like they actually ordered the study that was recommended. So there may be some movement down the road on that, but that's what I found about the Brook Street retreat. Amy's got a question over there.
Amy?
Hi, my name is Amy Cronin, 176 County Road, and my question is, how is it already not a public nuisance since they're not doing what they said they were going to do with the violent offenders? And at what point would it then be a public nuisance? And then, if it was defined as such, then what could we do? Because I think it's already a public nuisance because they're definitely not doing what they said they were going to do. So, where do we go from here? And thank you so much for going to town council.
Oh, you're welcome. One time is not going to make it a public nuisance. I can find out from Alana, but it would be more of them doing illegal activities if they're drinking on the property and doing things that are so contrary to what their mission is. That would be, or parties. If it was more of a frat house type of environment, that would definitely be activities that would bring it up to the level of a public nuisance. So she asked the neighbors to keep logs, and I would say if a couple of instances of a nature that are deemed inappropriate or contrary to what they should be doing, then, they should let us know. But it's going to take a couple of times for it to happen before it would actually be a public nuisance.
So, Jay Mazzarelli, 15 Brackett Terrace. So what they agreed upon on the September 8th, 2014 meeting minutes was, means nothing essentially. In other words, they dropped out the violent behavior. And so now we can have arsonists in there as well, and sex offenders, and the town is powerless to do anything about this. That's what you're telling us.
That is what I'm telling you, which is extremely unfortunate, but that is what I'm telling you.
So arsonists and sex offenders
Well-
could be next, along with the violent people that we know are already in there, correct?
Correct. And if they're not performing Cory checks, I'm not sure how they can make any guarantees about the people that are already there. Is it just taking their word for it? I mean, they need to be doing Cory checks to be able to even say they're not bringing in people that are sex offenders or arsonists. So the simple check is not being done to even guarantee that. And he's got another question. Go ahead.
So this makes me really nervous as a townsperson to bring anything new into town, because anything can be promised. And then, we can have criminals breaking into our neighbors' houses, and we're powerless. So once we let it in, that's pretty scary for me. And I've always thought of myself as pretty open-minded. I was not against this when it came about. I wasn't against it, a lot of the things that are coming up, but now it's giving me pause to think, wow, we've got to be really careful what we let in, because once it's in, we're screwed.
Well, I can check with Alana if the board would like to see if this would still meet the exemption of the Dover Amendment if, in fact, the AA curriculum is more religious than educational. And it, that I'll have to find. But the Dover Amendment calls for sex, let me see. All right, a religious sect or denomination. And I mean, I didn't think the AA book was, studying that was enough to be educational, but we differed on that. So I'm not sure. That is my question. But we haven't seen any curriculum, which they did say in the minutes that they hadn't developed yet. So I'm just not sure what type of education is actually happening. I would love to see a written curriculum, and I think that that's something that they need to produce, and that we need to be confirming that they're actually doing what they said they would do. But I think that we need to ask them to at least do what they presented to the town when the town got on board with this idea. At a minimum, they need to be doing that.
I mean, just a reminder to everyone, I know people are probably pretty disappointed with that report, but a reminder that this is not really a Board of Selectmen decision. We held a bunch of public hearings as a service to the public, but ultimately this was a zoning issue. The zoning officer approved this, I guess it was a year and a half ago. It was appealed by citizens to Zoning Board of Appeals. There was a lot of discussion. The Zoning Board of Appeals approved it. There was, in cases like that, a 30-day appeal period, which citizens decided to appeal to the court system. That wasn't done. Once a zoning permit is issued, it is, and after that 30-day period, it is in effect. The stuff that they mentioned that's in the minutes are things which certainly they can discuss but aren't binding in any way.
Right.
I mean, it seems to me that the big issue here is that the main way that the Board of Selectmen could be involved is if at some point it was declared a public nuisance, and obviously one instance isn't going to do it. So, I mean, just a reminder that really at this point, this is a zoning issue. They were issued a zoning permit. If it isn't appealed, and if nothing changes, I mean, they have their zoning permit.
Well, I think we need to ask, though, that we need to ask them to honor what they had presented when they came in here. And if they choose not to, then I think that's kind of telling. And that they need to be respectful of their neighbors. And this is kind of a verbal commitment they made when they came in here and did this informational hearing. And then and this is so important to the feeling of safety and well-being to the neighbors, is to know that they're bringing in guests, then they're Cory checking them. And this isn't just for our protection, it's the protection for the people that are guests in this house as well. So, you know, that's a concern too, and I just think that we need to ask them to do the Cory check and at a minimum. And if they need help with it, we could certainly help with that.
I mean, I think we can ask that. I mean, I think we all have to understand none of that's binding. I mean,
Right.
the main avenues we have are if they are not continuing to fulfill the zoning requirement that they're an educational facility. And, I mean, we can certainly ask for that, and
And the curriculum,
we're
I think we
kind
need
of-
to
yeah,
add for the
well-
curriculum too, because if they're saying they're an educational facility, they should have a curriculum that they're following. In my reading of their website, and we called and asked for any type of documentation, nothing exists. Nothing on the website. It looks like, you know, they get up in the morning, they make their beds, they do some reading, do some studying of the book, you know, write in their journal. But I want to see a curriculum of what they're doing if in fact this is coming in under an educational exemption.
So I think that-
My recollection of the people that talked about the Dover Amendment is that it's just very, very loose, and teaching life skills, teaching these people that became addicts at such a young age that they need to get up and make their bed. They need to is in fact educational. And I would just think that Alana is pretty familiar with the AA Big Book and how it, you know, would fit in this, and
Well, she did. She seemed to
we're
think
pretty
that it was enough to make
We're there.
the
So,
educational requirement.
Okay, couple comments, and then I'm going to generate a motion, I think.
Where town council has given you opinions in the past regarding 40A Section 3 or the Dover Amendment and right to farm that differed from the state, I've seen legal arguments on the web that says if the primary use is residential, which a sober living house is, then it doesn't qualify under the Dover Amendment. So are you certain that the advice you're getting from town council, where on the other controversial issue that the board is addressing, is solid advice?
I'm completely comfortable that they were offered, they received a zoning permit, that the period of time where that could be appealed was not appealed, and so they have a
On
valid...
the same law, the chief counsel of the House of Representatives, the Attorney General, and the chief counsel of the state, the Senate disagree with Alana's opinion.
They have a zoning permit. They have a valid zoning permit.
But doesn't it have to be renewed every year?
No, it does not. I mean, they have to prove they're still an educational facility, and I'm going to make a motion in that regard momentarily, but there was one more hand.
That's all, I was hoping that you would make an amendment that they provide the curriculum.
Okay, so let me make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that probably the zoning enforcement officer will want to continue to recuse himself because he's a neighbor. So
Right.
I'm going to make a motion that Christine check with the zoning enforcement officer, assuming he's going to recuse himself, that Christine go to the building commissioner, who was the acting zoning officer when we dealt with this, and ask him to confirm the curriculum and that it is still fulfilling the educational aspect of this. That's my motion.
second, do we want to add something about sending a letter that requests that they do the Cory check.
Yes.
All right, let's make that
second motion.
let's
Okay.
do this
Okay.
motion first.
All right, so this is to confirm the curriculum, or to get a copy of the curriculum and confirm the educational aspect of the facility.
That he would render an opinion on
Okay,
that.
who's is that Tom Milius?
Yes. So that's the motion, it's been seconded. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Would you like to make a motion?
Oh, sure. I move that Christine draft a letter just asking that they follow through on some of the things that were promised initially to the town, or give reasons why they are not doing so.
Do I hear a second? I'll let you write first.
I'll second.
Yeah, I don't like the reasons why. I mean, if they're not,
I have no idea how that happened. Sorry.
This is the call for week that we're going through.
Yeah, right, we tried that.
You know you're on TV.
No idea.
can you do a close-up? Do you want to dance?
Creams, wanna go? My favorite. But it's not supposed to be there. I have no idea how that even
Yeah, I mean,
happened.
since we cannot make them, that they follow through with what they had said they were going to do in their presentation.
From the minutes of.
My
We
concern.
don't know why they're not,
Doing the Cory check.
what they're doing in place of a Cory. If they have some other means
Okay.
of
All right,
establishing,
okay,
you know, the
okay.
history of the people.
So if they're receiving Cory checks from institutions where these people are coming prior within their program, then that would be an acceptable
That would be a reason why they are not doing the
alternative.
Cory.
Okay, all right, so if they're not following through with what they presented to do, basically, we're concerned about the Cory check, that, that they're getting this information from another source? That getting the Cory information from another source?
I guess. I mean, I guess I would just ask them why they're not doing what they had promised, and let them come up with
Okay.
their answer.
Okay, why not doing what they had presented? Okay,
In particular, the Cory check.
to the town.
I mean, what they're going to say on the Cory checker, when I met with them, what they said is that they explored previous criminal history with the professionals at the place that they were previously. But I mean, I think it's reasonable that we ask them about this. And I think I'll vote for this just with a clear proviso that we have no authority to enforce anything. So,
Absolutely, but if we don't ask, we're not gonna get it.
I think if we ask, and really this can be just a continuing, that this is a way for this board to have a continuing dialogue on the way, hopefully in a way that can be helpful and supportive. So with that proviso, I think I would be in favor of this motion as well.
Okay.
But did you didn't second it yet?
No, but yeah, I mean, I am in complete agreement. I just think that they need to be doing a Cory check, and, but where we don't have the authority to force them to do this, all we can do is ask, and,
Okay.
and right, and if they're not, Colleen, I agree that, you know, if they're getting this information from another source, then, you know, we'd like to know about it, and I just would like to, yeah, remind them they need to be good neighbors.
Okay. Did you have a comment?
I just wanted to say in a public school type of educational setting, if a person is volunteering, if a person is a teacher, such as myself, we have to be Cory checked on a regular basis. It's not a one-time thing, and it has to be an ongoing process. So there's,
Yeah.
it
That's your
is not
standard.
exact sort of
That's your
amount of
standard for
time.
public education.
Yeah, different situation though, public education, private, nonprofit. In any event, I will continue the conversation, just fully recognizing we don't have enforcement authority. All right, so I think the motion has been made. I'll second it, so now it's seconded.
Okay.
And any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. I'll show you the letter before I send it.
Good, okay.
Yeah.
I think that's probably as far as we can get on this
Yeah.
right now.
All right, any thoughts about the, wanting me to pursue the religious avenue with Alana? To see if it's still, if AA, I mean, there were 5 lawsuits.
My
Yeah.
concern there is that they have a valid zoning permit, and I don't
Yeah, but it's
think
based on these
retrospectively.
exemptions. Well, what Alana said was, they told us what we wanted to hear. So we have to let them do it. In order for us to take action, they have to fail. Basically, they have to not do what they said they were gonna do in order for the town to be able to take any action. And that's how a lot of these work. So I just would like to confirm with her, based on this information that I have found with these lawsuits and AA being religious, if they still meet the requirements for the Dover Amendment.
Okay. So to put that to sleep, and because I think that's going to be a really quick answer, I will make a motion on this.
Okay.
That you go back to Alana
Okay.
and simply confirm that what they are doing, as far as she's concerned, fulfills the requirements of the Dover
Perfect,
Amendment.
that's all I wanna know.
Second.
All those in, so second, all those in favor?
Aye,
All right,
awesome.
okay? Okay,
Perfect, thank you.
all right. We'll keep struggling with it. Okay, everyone all right with that one? All right, good. So, we'll go on to solar, do you speak first? Does Zach speak first? Does
John's
Mr.
here, right?
Yeah, John Trainer's here.
Just, I don't know. I have to think for a second, sorry.
Okay. We have a thinking moment before us.
Okay, so we have a PPA under consideration, and Borrego would need a commitment, a letter of intent from us very soon. I personally am comfortable with going ahead with it. I guess our biggest question is whether we go with a fixed rate or an indexed rate. I lean toward the indexed rate despite it having a fixed rate despite it having an escalator, because I just personally can't see the utilities going down. Even with wonderful new technologies, I'm sure that they'll find a way of charging us for them.
Well, yeah, when there's
But-
fewer people they're providing for, then they're gonna up the rate.
Right, so, Zach, do you have anything you want to add about the,
No, I think that sums it up. I think basically was looking for the board to enter into a non-binding letter of intent with us, a similar form that you guys have entered into in the past. I have offered a very similar rate to the original letter of intent that the board entered into some time ago. Now that that opportunity has fallen through, I made the offer to you guys about a month ago now, I think. And just to complicate things a little bit, the industry's changed a bit, now offers this indexed rate concept, which essentially says if an off-taker municipality like yourselves is uncomfortable with the hedge concept of a power purchase agreement, you can now get what's called an index rate that moves with the market up or down and essentially guarantees you to save, in this case, 25% of your electric bills. From a financial standpoint, Colleen and Mr. Trainer and I and Dale had an informal meeting, ran a whole bunch of different scenarios, and with the same assumptions, the upside to the fixed rate is about 2 times the savings of the index rate, but it's a risk-reward type thing, and to give you guys whatever flexibility I could, I extended both offers and was interested in having you guys sign that letter of intent so we could reserve approximately 850,000 kilowatt hours from our project in Freetown that we are moving forward on. And the biggest distinction I wanted to make between this offer and perhaps the past one is this one I'm guaranteeing that the savings will begin in January 2017. And in our power purchase agreement, the binding agreement that would replace this non-binding letter of intent, we would agree to some type of monetary damages if we did not meet that guarantee, so that if you guys move into next year's budget, that if those savings aren't there as expected from the PPA, we will essentially reimburse for those savings lost because of our construction delays.
John or Dale, do you have anything that you want to say about?
I'm pretty much in favor of going forward with the letter of intent, but I think there's still a few things we have to clarify. One is I'd still like to get reference names for Sharon and Dorleen so we can talk to them.
Sure.
Just for clarity, the town of Sharon and the town of Orleans are already signed on to this project.
That's correct.
I think a lot of the, as we tie this down and when we go through the letter of intent, we'll tie down some of the figures to make sure that in fact everything falls out the way you've said.
That's correct.
We've kind of become solar experts, maybe not. We've
Yeah,
had
the
2
month.
meetings, I don't know
I don't
that I
think so.
feel comfortable. And as I've said from the start, we're signing up for a 20-year commitment. And I hate to see where, we turn around in 10 years, somebody turns around and says, we should have done it. So I think we really want to tie down the numbers and make sure we feel comfortable. I do feel there's enough leeway with the public safety building coming online, whether it's this year, next year, that we'll not have a problem meeting the number of kilowatt hours. And since Mr. Henry's back from his tan vacation, I would suggest we just run it by John, because in the past he's been our solar guru, and I think it wouldn't hurt to make sure that what we're looking at makes sense.
How quick you need a commitment from us?
I was hoping for a commitment this evening.
Okay.
And that would be the execution of the letter of intent. And generally speaking, we would take the next month to allow my council to work with your council to finalize the form. And then in parallel, work with whoever you appoint from the board to get very comfortable with the exact quantities of kilowatt hours you were purchasing. And like John said, we left enough flexibility in this agreement. It's also non-binding, so there's some leeway to kind of move into that final contract. But again, it is a 20-year contract, so it's not something I want to rush the binding nature of it.
One other point, though. As we looked at this, the savings over time, Zach used a 7.5% discount rate. I was looking online, and one of the municipal associations says, in today's environment, 3 to 5%. So I think by using the 7.5, if in fact it comes out less, we'll just be that better off. So I think the savings, as we go through the process of the letter of intent, they look real.
So my one question, how does this relate to anything we've done previously with Blue Wave?
It's
The
mine.
PPA with Blue Wave is off the table.
Okay.
So this is
So
our
no
our
issues.
next option.
All
No,
right.
no issues.
So our decision tonight is whether we want to commit to a letter of intent, and then we have some time to work out the details. Any other comments from, ma'am?
Yes, Deb Stewart from the assessor, and I spoke with Colleen and Dale earlier today. There are new regulations with the Department of Revenue as to how we tax or accommodate not the pilot, which previously had been included on the recap sheet, the pilot revenue, but now you assess the realty, the installation itself. So I would need the full information that I believe you have a letter from us previously you had asking for a full listing of all equipment.
I think that might be pertaining to a different item.
Yeah.
Just a pilot.
This is a PPA, that's a pilot agreement,
Okay,
so
but
we'll get to
before
those.
you agree with the PPA, this is going to be a requirement, so I would just ask you to, have a certainty that we would, this is a reval year, so, I would need at least,
So these are-
starting points.
Sorry, would you like me to answer?
I was just gonna say, that's kind of apples and oranges, it's 2 different projects, and I did already speak with Zach today, and he will provide you with what you need.
Okay, well, this PPA is for a new project.
This is a project that's in Freetown.
Freetown, okay.
It's, we're agreeing to purchase the power, it's not a pilot agreement.
It's not one of the proposed projects.
Correct.
Okay, I stand corrected.
Colleen did mention that, we can circle up in the next day or two about some potential future projects or the past of the older ones that you're looking for.
No, I'm still looking for the older one.
There you go. Sure.
Yeah, I need that, you know, the current installation along Brook Street.
Sure.
All right, does anyone want to speak against committing, the board committing to a letter of intent tonight? All right, I'm going to make a motion that we sign
Say
a letter.
non-binding letter of intent.
Or contingent on, you know, the review of John Henry and, you know, this committee working out the acceptable details, something like that.
Would you like the honor of making the motion?
Non-binding, but a serious intent. We
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We're not
I
gonna.
think we definitely want to do this. We just
Yes.
would like John to give it the once over.
I move that we sign a letter of intent to enter into PPA with Borrego for the Freetown project.
Second?
Sorry, before you, which one to fix?
Oh, so we need that in this letter of intent? Which way we're going?
Essentially, the basis of the letter intent is to memorialize the business terms. And there's two different offerings.
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
I'm leaning towards fixed, because again, I would ask Mr. Henry just, if he
Yeah.
said index, I would say.
I don't think, I mean, I guess,
It's fixed with a 2% accelerator as opposed to tying it to 25% of the, you know, indexed was 25% of the cost of
You have the option to revisit this on Wednesday night.
power companies.
I think we can have the option to leave that generally open. We can start with the fixed rate, and if you guys feel that during the month of diligence work we're gonna do together, if you feel like you kind of turn the other direction, I think that's fine with
It's a
me.
good one.
That's a very good way to leave it, yeah.
All right, I'm leaning to fixed, and if we can leave that out for the moment, we know that. All right, so any further discussion on the motion?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Zach, for coming in.
So
You have something to sign?
If you're okay with it now,
We are.
copy for yourselves, and a copy that I'll take with me.
All right, actually, why don't, I think maybe each of us should, have you read?
Yes.
Let's read together for a
Okay.
moment.
Here, I have.
You have
a copy
read it.
here too.
All right,
And I think you're just the one that signs this, aren't you?
yeah,
Yeah.
but you voted for it as well. so-
Absolutely. That's why I have the pencil.
That's so nice.
This is Freetown's project, right?
That's correct.
Yes. Purchase electricity from the under a PPA, power purchase agreement. Gas and highway agreement is completely separate. Yeah, Deb was talking about that. Yeah, here, you know what? That's the stuff that the assessors need to that's a request, yeah. Do you have this electronically? I couldn't find mine.
So we have 30 days to get this squared away,
That's what we're hoping.
to work out the details.
Yeah, that's kind of the basic timeline we
Seems
discussed.
like plenty.
So you will forward
You okay?
Yep, you just have to
your
sign that one.
documents
signed it.
to us
Okay.
and to,
What's this back?
you'll forward the PPA
Sign it.
contract to us
I
and
think
Sign
with your
this.
permission, I might
Rich.
just reach out to
They
Rick
have to
and
fill
ask
out
him
all
if he
this.
has a form that he'd like to work
Okay.
with.
He knows that.
Rick Holland is
That would be
the
easier if you guys on the
KP.
pilot.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay, yeah.
This has nothing to
Start
do
with
with
this
us.
document.
No, this is nothing.
Okay,
Cool.
just checking.
This is a
Do you
pain.
just
do
need one
business with
signed
you.
and we keep one?
Please keep one.
Okay, excellent.
And then I think just continue working with Colleen and the rest of the team on kind of identifying the exact details to it.
Perfect. Good plan.
Now, while Zach is still here, he does have 4 pilot programs coming up that basically, can we add that to the special? Or does it have to go back on, do we have to reopen the annual and put it on that?
Usually it'd be an annual article.
Usually it would be an annual article.
Usually it'd be an annual article. I mean, you can put them on there. There's only 42. That'll only drive.
Then we have to open it and close it again.
Yeah, you can open it and close it to put them on if you want.
Which
And
is
if
just
you-
a matter of saying
If
we're
you
opening
decide to
it and
do
closing
that, then what I'm going to need is I'm going to need the names of the entities and the locations. and the size kind of thing, you know, that, as just in the purposes of the warrant.
All right, so just, if we're doing this, we are meeting Wednesday night. 2 weeks from tonight, we have to finalize the warrant and hand it
Right.
over to FinCom. So, are we thinking then of reopening the warrant Wednesday night to do
Well, I
this?
prefer to put it on the special, but if you think it'd be better to put it on the annual, I mean, it really doesn't, the special isn't normally where this type of activity would be.
No, but you could put it on a special at any
But
time.
I just
So
hate
it could be on
to
the special.
open up the annual after we've closed
Yeah.
it. I just think that's a bad thing to do.
I think that's a very bad thing to do. If it can go on the special, I'd much prefer to do that.
Yeah, I think we should put it on the special.
Yeah, we can. I mean,
Okay.
sure, it can go on the special.
Okay, so
Then
what
we'll
do we
just close
need
the special
from
tonight.
Zach so that we can do that Wednesday
I need
night?
the locations, the entities that we're going to be entering into the agreement with. I need whatever those entities are, the locations, and probably the size, approximate size of the.
So the only thing you gave me was the location, so you'll have to get the rest of the information to Dale.
I'll just respond to that email, I'll include Dale. And
Yeah,
get that out to you guys.
All right, so do you want to make a motion that we include these articles? Because we're going to close it tonight, aren't we? Are we going to close the special tonight, or are we going to wait till Wednesday?
Well, I think maybe if we're doing this, we better,
Yeah, wait till Wednesday.
Wait till
Wait
Wednesday?
until Wednesday.
Will we have that information by Wednesday?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, Zach will have it to me, and I'll just have to.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Good, thank you,
Thanks,
Zach.
Zach.
See you later, Zach.
okay.
May I
Well,
ask?
not bad.
Colleen, she has
So-
file on this or not?
Next item is about Eversource Land. Is Ted Ted, good evening.
Background to this is that there's an 8-acre parcel of land that abuts the Cato's Ridge Park. It's owned by Eversource, and it is landlocked and essentially worthless to them. I've been dealing with them, trying to get them to give it to us, and the man that I'm dealing with there, the real estate analyst, says it's just impossible to get this kind of thing through. It just takes forever to move the Eversource company to sell a piece of land. So he suggested that we enter into a license agreement to use the piece of property for passive recreation, just like we went for the rest of the park. And he gave me a sample of one which is the town of Holliston, which happens to be my hometown. And
Your former hometown.
that's right. Well, I don't know, Bernie Sanders claims he's a New Yorker. Okay, you can see, that's the piece of, where are we here? There it is, there, right there. That- Right there. You've got that in the yellow, yeah.
Okay.
And you can see strategically that it is, that little dark circle is a pond. It's right in the middle of the pond. The line goes right through the pond. So if we get that piece of land through this licensing agreement, we will be able to cut a trail right around that pond and make a very nice addition to the aesthetics of the park.
There's no cost of the licensing agreement to the town?
But there's no cost to the licensing agreement other than the fact that we have to pay for some advice as to whether or not it's a good idea from an attorney. And Concom and Open Space will pay for that. So that's it. The agreement is very straightforward, and it's exactly the same situation that we have, the Holliston situation.
So this agreement looked good. The only thing I see in there that isn't in there is that we will want to put a trail through their land. And we'll
Okay,
probably
yeah,
have to
that's
add
true.
that.
Yeah, we would add that, yes.
So this seems like a no-brainer.
He said,
Well,
What's the downside? Is there a downside?
we have to pick up the trash.
Okay.
I mean, that's as far as I can read in that. I mean, it's complicated, you know, when you deal with Eversource, it's always gonna be very complex. They would retain the rights to put a power station there if they needed to, all kinds of, you know, it's on loan to us essentially. So if they need it back, they'll take it back. And I don't see any downside.
Would they do any type of maintenance to this
No,
property?
no,
They'll
they
just
will
let it
not.
go?
No, if we take it, we take it.
Okay.
100% with respect to that. And we assume the liabilities for the same liabilities that we do for the rest of the park, and I assume, and this isn't something to consider with the attorney, that I assume that the town's blanket liability policy would cover it.
So
it's-
next step for us is?
Well, I'd get the blessing of the board and give Open Space and Concom permission to seek the town's attorney's opinion about the wisdom of getting involved in this agreement. And then we have to draft the agreement that's specific to this situation, which that template will be invaluable for it. And then we'll go from there. Is that good?
Yeah,
Great.
sounds interesting, yeah.
Wonderful.
Okay, so you can keep that, and I have the request for the town attorney, you know, that form that you have for the town attorney, and I'll send that in to you.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we can,
So I think we'll need a motion on that. One, greatly appreciate your efforts on this. I'm sure it is not easy meandering through the Eversource
well, I
labyrinth.
will tell you that the fellow that I've been working with used to work in conservation, and he's very interested that this should go through, and he was
Great.
really kind of disappointed that he couldn't give it to us for $1. But he came up with this idea of a license and provided this template, so it should be pretty straightforward.
Excellent.
So I'm excited. I'll make a motion that we give Open Space permission to,
Give what?
to go to town council and pursue this?
Oh, yeah, Open Space.
Okay,
The relationship between Concom and Open Space is
okay.
Well,
quite
who's
intimate.
gonna be doing this, conservation or open space?
Conservation will do it in the
Okay.
end, because Open Space is a subcommittee of
Okay, so,
conservation.
So we'll make the motion that conservation and open space
Sure,
work
why
in
not?
concert to move this along. And we
Colleen's
have
got a
town
question.
treasurer
What does
question.
this mean to the tax roll?
Nothing.
You're not gonna be paying taxes on this property anymore?
No, it's still owned by Eversource.
And they will remain paying taxes?
They will remain paying taxes to the extent that they're paying taxes.
okay,
Okay,
good question.
all right. So the motion is that Concom and open space work in concert, consult with town council, move along the possibility of bringing the license agreement into actuality. All those in favor? Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Excellent.
for all that work.
Thank you, sir.
Do you
All
have,
right.
excuse me, do you have, is it Ted?
Yes.
Does he have the form for Alana, or does he want to email it to him?
I
He's
think
got it. He
we-
had it in his
He's
little
got it,
folder.
and we, based on the oral
Okay.
conversation, have approved it.
Okay.
Oh, all right. That's Ted Toronto of the Open Space Committee.
That's it?
Yeah, yes, you have the form. I was going to email it to you if you wanted to. Okay.
Excellent. Thank
All
you.
right. I'm reminded by the print media that anyone that speaks from the audience, please identify yourself with your name and street address. So, we are,
Okay.
okay, I guess we're up to marijuana grow facility. So, there's been a lot of discussion already about this. We, the Board of Selectmen, were approached tonight with two somewhat narrow focused issues, and as I understand the agenda, number one, there are abutters that had new information that they wanted to present tonight and asked for time in front of the board, and Mr. Randall's attorney has made a request or a proposal to the board, and so that's up for discussion tonight. So we do want to try to keep the focus kind of narrow to those particular issues, and maybe we'll let the abutters present first.
Okay, yes, I'm actually a Ring Road resident, but not physically abutting the
Okay,
property.
yeah.
Myself and Don Hastings were asked by a group of people on the road to speak for them, so if I could share my time with Don, that would
Sure.
be great.
Thank you, Dawn. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so basically I just wanted to update the board with what has happened in relation to the proposed marijuana growth facility since the last meeting that it was talked about. So State Representative Tom Coulter initiated the process for the wording of the current law to be clarified or codified. I believe they call this codification. And in addition to Representative Coulter and Representative Brady, 8 other legislatures have since signed on as co-sponsors to the codification. Because the request was made after January 1st, it is considered a late file, so rule number 12 would need to be suspended by both the House and the Senate for it to move forward. The request was given document number HD 4627. On March 28th, HD 4627 was referred to the Committee of House Rules. On April 4th, the Committee on House Rules for the House of Representatives suspended Rule 12 for the request, allowing it to proceed. And then on April 7th, the Committee on House Rules for the Senate also agreed to suspend Rule 12 for the request to proceed forward. On or around April 7th, HD 4627 was upgraded to bill status and given bill number H4186. On April 8th, the Joint House and the Senate scheduled a hearing for April 12th. Now, the last meeting, the board agreed unanimously to wait for the codification to go through before taking the issue back up. As you can see, things are moving along rather nicely with the codification process, so I'm wondering, and I asked the board, what has changed since that last meeting that would allow you to bring the issue back up this soon? But before you answer that, there's one other status update. It seems that both Mr. Randall's board member / lawyer and our own town's council opinions have been sent to the state's chief legal counsel of the House of Representatives, arguing support of Mr. Randall's position. The House's chief legal counsel gave a very detailed 7-point response explaining the errors in their argument and making it very clear, once again, that even without any kind of codification, the state laws absolutely do not allow for a Chapter 48 exception for growing of medical marijuana. In fact, with the level of exposure this has gotten at the state level, I've been assured that the state won't allow this to happen in Plympton, as it would create a precedent for other municipalities, and that would not be desired at the state level. I don't think as a town, we want to be the legal test case for this issue or be in a legal dispute with the state about it. One other thing I didn't write, because it came up tonight, is I just want to point out to people here from Brook Street, it's actually kind of uncanny, the parallels between these two situations, where there's security concerns that were kind of maybe pushed aside. It's something that if we allow this to go through, there's no going back. And even worse, the state has total control of this once it goes through. The town has no jurisdiction, no control. If there's a complaint, if they're not following rules or following promises made, there's absolutely nothing the town can do, even as a nuisance. You can't do anything about it. It's in the state's hands at that point. So, back to my question, what has changed between that time and now, when there was a motion to wait, that we are now back here again?
I think we made a motion to request Mr. Coulter and State Senator to explore clarifying legislation. We didn't make a motion to wait on anything.
You sat there and said you were going to wait until the codification went through.
Even if we did.
And why would you make the request if you didn't want to hear what they have to say?
We do want to hear, and that's why we made the request, and that's why I was in favor of making the request. I think the thing that is new is that Mr. Randall and his attorney have communicated with the board that they would be willing to stipulate that if the clarifying legislation goes through, they wouldn't proceed with this any further. At the same time, they've made a request for Plympton Town Council to offer some templates on community hosting agreement. And actually,
Why waste the time and the money?
We
Excuse
don't
me.
even know
It
if it's
doesn't
legal
matter.
yet. Why would you?
So let me continue, and we'll give Mr. Randall a chance to speak. So the letter, pardon?
But Dawn still, Chris's presentation was only the first half. Dawn has a second
Okay.
half.
Just a reminder that this conversation tonight is not a debate. Ultimately, this conversation tonight is the Board of Selectmen gathering information to make any decisions that they have to make. So just to lay this piece out so then we can just continue the discussion. We heard, I think it was last week, from Mr. Randall's attorney stipulating that, asking for a template or templates from our town council so that they could move forward with creating a community hosting agreement. In that communication, they were willing to stipulate that if the qualifying legislation passed, that they wouldn't proceed further. And just, so I'll say my piece and then I'll be able to shut up. I want to hear what everyone has to say tonight, and obviously the Board of Selectmen will have to make a decision on this. I think it makes huge sense if Mr. Randall and his attorney are desirous of drafting a community host agreement, that they do it. We're having this debate about what the benefits to the town are, what the safeguards to the town are. The way for us to know this is to have a community host agreement, a draft before us that we can then look at and understand. And if we get to town meeting and are going to have some citizen petition votes on any of this, I think if we have the agreement before us, then we have that information. I have said all along personally that I still don't know how I would vote on this, that it would require three things: assurance that the zoning is okay, that we would have written clear safeguards for the concerns of the citizens in town, and that this was a significant financial benefit to the town. And so I'm interested in them having the opportunity to write an agreement and see if they can write an agreement that really does protect the town and that really does benefit the town financially. All right, so there's that piece out there.
It's basically the cart before the horse.
Excuse me?
It's the cart before the horse.
It doesn't matter how big the carrot is, if it can't exist in an agricultural residential area,
It's
our town
inflammatory.
bylaws prohibit it.
Okay.
But if we could proceed with
Yeah,
our presentation.
So you are in fact proceeding, moving forward with the host agreement, even though you said you weren't going to the last meeting. Is that
Right.
correct?
We haven't,
We're having a discussion on whether we're going to do that or not.
Okay, well,
Look, I'd just like to
that
say
sure
something.
sounds like you're moving
I
forward.
actually prepared the agenda, and Mr. Randall asked if he could be put on the agenda, just as you have asked, just as Brook Street. Everybody gets their right to speak.
I'm not
So-
saying he can't
so-
speak, I was asking what changed your
And
mind.
we haven't changed our mind yet. We're giving him the chance to speak.
But last week you said that you would not proceed with the hosting agreement, now you're saying that,
We haven't voted that we're
Okay,
going to
well,
proceed yet.
can my,
You were putting the cart before the
better looking
horse.
half, take the floor then?
So initially, I was a little nervous about doing this, and now I'm irritated and less nervous, so that works out.
Always helps.
I just want to make sure that you are aware, and it's in that packet, there has been a court case in California that has recognized that that marijuana is not agriculture. I feel like saying California, California, because of all the states in the union, they have a precedent-setting law that marijuana is not agriculture. So I think that's a big deal, especially because it's California. The next thing, number 3 on that, the U.S. Department of Agriculture says that marijuana is a controlled substance and not agriculture. Specifically, John Nildowski, who is the Mass State Executive Director to the U.S. Department of Agriculture and Farm Agency, confirmed that. So now we've got the precedent in California, we've got this fellow from the Department of Agriculture confirming that it's not agriculture. On that next page, the DEA, I don't know how much bigger we can get here, the DEA lists marijuana as a Schedule I controlled substance, which has been my position all along. If we're not gonna be producing Vicodin in my backyard, we're not gonna be producing Percocet in your backyard. It falls under the same category. Number 6, the truth be told, and we did look because we were afraid, we were looking for, we could not find one single agency that recognizes it as agriculture through our state government and federal governments. Not one single agency. The town council, who I think advised us in not a good manner, is one person. Mr. Randall's lawyer is another person, but they're not state agencies. And now this part I kind of feel badly about because I've lived my quiet life on Ring Road and I haven't bothered anybody, and I think a lot of residents feel this way. So now the rest of this gets into picayune stuff about Mr. Randall, which again I felt a little funky about, and I still do somewhat, but I'm irritated at this point because I don't believe we should be going into this discussion. And I'm irritated that I'm up here having to do this because we've let it go this long. So number 7 on that point is that Mr. Randall, through the process of applying for the proposal with the RMD, had to state that he had never had a complaint filed against him. And in the June 16, 2014 Board of Selectmen meeting, there was a complaint filed against him. There was actually no then later follow-up that could be found what happened with that complaint, so I couldn't find a resolution, nor could anybody else. So it could be that it was resolved nicely or not, I have no idea. Number 8 on there, according to the Mass Secretary of State, Mr. Randall currently has 3 businesses: Frank Hayes Holdings Limited, the Haywood Company, and the Fresh Meadow Farms. And as of today, and again, I'm kind of sorry about this because I wouldn't want to be looked at this way, but as of today, the town clerk has said that not any of them had a valid business license in the town of Plympton. In the past, the Haywood Company had a business certificate, so I would imagine that there's an understanding about how you go about getting business certificates. One of the, also another concern raised by many of the residents on the street, that the RMD and grow operation has a lack of, not just the street, actually the town, the RMD and grow operation will have a lack of oversight. As Chris pointed out, this does not, once this is done, it's not Plympton that oversees this. It's the Department of Public Health, which I don't know if any of you folks have worked with, but I find them to be lacking in responding to things quickly. And I have worked with them. But besides that, then it's a state agency, and we all know many of them are overworked. So it's out of our hands as a town if this is done. The other part of that, there's also a question people have raised about the status of the gravel pit that Mr. Randall runs, and whether or not that actually has a current occupant or business permit, as people have seemingly seemed to think that there's land and gravel being moved regularly from that location. And then you have the
The permit actually.
Excuse me, the gravel in your house?
No, I have nothing to do with it.
There's some loam in your yard?
No, I'm not sure where that question's
Yeah,
coming
we
from.
actually delivered loam. I worked out a deal that I actually cut my prices in half, and all the loam in your yard came from my.
Well, that would be with Stead Beckwith. I wasn't there when that happened.
Oh, it was
No,
actually
you
your
don't,
husband.
you and your husband.
No, all the loam in my yard came from you? That is
Okay,
completely
wait,
erroneous.
people, why don't you make your presentation, then we'll let the Randall speak. Do you have
That is completely
anything to add?
erroneous. Anyway.
Anything more?
Well, just that the section 1 of the, it says no person shall remove any soil, loam, sand, gravel from any land in town not in public use unless such removal is authorized by permit issued by the Selectmen, except in conjunction with the construction of a building on the parcel and except for the continued operation on the same parcel of an existing sand and gravel pit. If the gravel pit is not operational, people are wondering why all the trucks are coming in and out.
Okay. Any other, for people opposed, any other new information that you would like to present to the board?
Just that Jeff's gravel permit expired on October 27th of 2015. And as a resident, I can confirm I've seen numerous trucks filled with sand and gravel going up and down, as you can see in the packet.
Okay. Anything else from those opposed before Mr.
Sorry,
Randall?
one more point. It causes me great concern that if he's not following the rules with his existing businesses, you're talking about having him run a registered marijuana grow operation. And these rules are simple to follow. Those rules are not.
Okay. Mr. Randall? Or legal counsel?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, if I may. Again, I'll introduce myself. It's Attorney Stephen McLaughlin, my office is in Hingham. I represent Mr. Randall with regard to this application. What you indicated and what Selectman Thompson indicated is correct. We do have something to submit to the Selectmen with regard to the agreement. It's one that I drafted. I had been in touch with Attorney Quirk to ask if a template was available, but she didn't want to release that without the authority of the Selectmen. So I took it upon myself to prepare this draft on other community hosting agreements. And the topic that everyone seems to be focused on right now is, since Representative Calder has filed his proposed legislation, which could potentially, if passed, alter the definition of agriculture within Chapter 48, Section 3, the exempt statute, the exempt section for zoning, to take marijuana out of the definition of agriculture. In recognition that that is still at least pending, hasn't died on the vine yet, this community hosting agreement provides specifically that in the event that legislation were to be enacted, then Mr. Randall would abide by that amended legislation. And so you'll see that on the first page, third paragraph from the bottom. It says, whereas the town and the operator are both aware of proposed legislation which, if enacted, could potentially modify certain provisions of the Massachusetts Zoning Enabling Act, and specifically those provisions exempting certain agricultural use from local zoning regulation, as set forth in Chapter 48, Section 3, and which proposed legislation, if enacted, could exclude marijuana cultivation from the definition of agriculture, and whereas the operator has agreed and acknowledged within this agreement that the operator will abide by any such revised statutory definitions and all relevant statutes, rules, and regulations relative to thereto. Now, that is spelled out in more detail in Section 9, I believe is on the 4th page, and it appears in bold print. So, the purpose of presenting it in this manner is twofold. It protects the town from Mr. Randall getting a leg up, which I think what people seem to be concerned about, that if he beats everyone to the finish before this legislation were to pass, I think the concern was, well, gee, the town may be left out in the cold. This provision, which I'm proposing, prevents that. Mr. Randall would abide by any revised statutory language. The second thing is, in all fairness to Mr. Randall, this process has been going on for months. And at some point, he is entitled to some due process and a reasonable speed in his application as well. And to drag out his application while we wait for what might happen, and it might not happen, is unfair to him. There's no risk to the town. With this language in this host community agreement, there's just no risk to the town.
There is a big risk to the town.
If the legislation passes, he abides by it. If it doesn't pass, then it doesn't pass. I'll reserve my own feelings on what I think is going to happen with legislation, but I think the town is protected. So the remainder of the host community agreement is what you'd expect to see: payments, et cetera, and various other factors. I have not shared this yet with Attorney Quirk. I'll be happy to. And that's pretty much
what I can add to it, Mr. Randall has also appended site plan information and odor abatement information, et cetera. It's all in the packet there.
So when you wrote to us last week, you were asking for templates from town council. Are you still interested in that, or are you preferring to go with this draft as a first step?
The only thing I was looking to do in contacting Attorney Quirk was I imagine the Copeland and Page is familiar with a document that they already have used probably on several occasions. So rather than reinvent the wheel and have them review something that's not of their own creation, I figured it would be best to follow Copeland and Page's template. Where I don't have it, I figured, well, I can prepare one as well. But if they have a particular template that they prefer, that they're familiar with, be happy to use that as well.
Okay. Did you want to comment on the sand and gravel situation?
Usually, you guys send us a notification for the renewal of permit, and I think all that happened is it just got lost in the shovel because the shovel was down.
Hold on a minute, no.
You know, you guys usually
No,
send it
wait on
to
you.
us, and then we come, you send the permit on, that's all.
I called you.
The
Oh, you did?
registry doesn't notify you anymore, you need your license to.
I called you and you told me that you didn't need it and that you weren't doing that anymore.
I don't think that's true. I gotta be honest with you, I don't remember our conversation, so.
I dot my i's and I cross my t's,
Okay.
and I am new to this position,
trust
and
you,
I
yeah.
trust me, I have read files after files to get myself and the knowledge of this.
We'll figure out the phone records or something and figure out, because I have to be honest with you, I would not ever say that, ever be in that position, ever. So perhaps it was just a misunderstanding. But I can tell you, we've had one for probably 15 or 20 years, and it's been the same process year after year.
Right.
That you guys notify us, you then, after you notify us, you send us a renewal a new application or whatever it's called, a new certificate. I have the last 15 years of it. But anyways, I think that really doesn't concern this aspect of it. I did want to just check in with you guys on a couple things. One was, we have a bunch of letters of support, and I know that you guys, I'm assuming that you've received some. And if it's possible, if we could get copies of them, because we have, this is our petitions and, I don't know, 40, 50 letters of support that we've received. So if I could entrust them to you, and then perhaps you guys could just kind of go through them and give us back a copy of the ones that you've received, if that's possible, just so we have them. Yeah.
Have your petitions already gone to the town clerk?
I don't know, I think, Christine, you were gonna send it to the town clerk, right? That's what you said in one of the meetings.
Yeah, if we received them,
Did
we
you-
sent them to
did
the
you send
town
them over to
clerk
her?
to be certified, yep,
Okay.
sure
I don't know
did.
if we
I
had.
called, she didn't know about them,
Okay.
she said you guys have them?
So you're wanting us to copy this or get this back to you?
Just the letters of support, so that we have an understanding of.
I will get those copied. All
The
right.
letters of support?
Hold on 1 minute. No.
You have
Why
what's in
is the town paying to copy that?
Right.
Mr. Randall should make the copies, bring them in, end
Absolutely
of
right.
conversation, done.
I don't have the copy.
You have a copy, well, go down to the pharmacy and make them.
Excuse me, just for a second. I don't have the copies of their letters. I'm just asking for the copies of the letters that they have. I don't have the letters. The copies were sent directly to the selectmen. So until I get a copy of them, I can't make copies.
Okay, I want to stay on bigger issues here, so I'm going to make a comment to kind of narrow the focus of the discussion to the issue at hand. And then Mr. Henry, the Doyles, and I think they're, sir. Okay, so that order. But the issue that I think is going to be before this board tonight is going to be the narrow issue of whether we want to authorize town council to share her template of her templates of community host agreements with Mr. Randall's attorney, thereby giving him the opportunity to draft a host community agreement. so that it's written down, so we don't have to argue about what the benefits are or what the safeguards are. But that's the focus for the next few minutes. All right, so,
Can I talk before everybody else does?
yes.
Okay.
Or let's give Mr.
Okay.
Randall one, then you,
Okay.
and then in order.
And I know
around
that
the-
everyone was concerned about the values and amounts that we had in our original
they were
proposal.
sent electronically.
So what we did is we changed the proposal to reflect that the first, after the first 12 months of operation, we'd make a payment to the town for $33,000. After the second year, it would be $66,000. And after the third year, and for every thereafter, it would be $100,000. I did talk to the chief in an informal meeting. The basic layout is in part of the hosting agreement. You can look it over. The chief's on vacation, and I'm sure that he'd like to be part of this, but I think that we could not I could not indemnify the town. It just got complicated from a legal perspective about the policing. So I think we came up with a solution that's gonna work for everybody. And so I did that with the chief, and hopefully that's gonna work out in that regard. So thank you very much.
Okay, so next Christine, and then around the room.
Whether or not marijuana is agriculture is irrelevant. According to the Act of Humanitarian Medical Use of Marijuana, which was adopted in 2012 by the Commonwealth, and this created the whole medical marijuana program. Letter G, marijuana, this is in the definitions section, has the meaning given marijuana in Chapter 94C of the general laws. That's it. It doesn't matter whether it's agriculture or not, it's 94C according to the Act, which is controlled substances. We're not, Jeff, let me talk. We are not looking to change the law. The law already says marijuana is covered under 94C, not 48 Section 3. We're not looking to change that. House Counsel, Senate Counsel, and the Attorney General all concurred that it's 94C. So whether or not it's agriculture, it doesn't matter. It's under 94C. So we've already been told that that we can't supersede state law. The state says it's not allowed. We should not be discussing this because it's not an allowed use. They're not going to change the law so that it's allowed. They're codifying it so it's crystal clear so that everybody knows marijuana is not an allowed use under 48 Section 3. Even Alana, who said that she thought it was agriculture, said it needed to be clarified. But whether or not it's agriculture, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. It's covered under 94C. So I think that this is a done deal. No, it's not allowed in that zone. And if Mr. Randall's attorney didn't think it was going to happen, why did you submit all those amendments to the bill?
Because the way that he presented it was that the single question or single proposal he's making would answer the question, when in reality it doesn't. You yourself have just confused a controlled substance statute with a zoning enabling statute. So you're mixing apples and oranges in a way that...
No, it's the acts of 2012.
You're mixing apples and oranges. To follow your thought process and your rationale, although medical marijuana is now legal in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you're saying that 94C makes it illegal. It's not...
No, it's defined under 94C.
So then what we're saying is the definition of marijuana as the substance marijuana is defined in 94C. That makes perfect sense, because you wouldn't have two different definitions of marijuana in two different statutes, because then you have confusion. So this legalizing statute says we'll follow the same definition as in 94C.
Right.
That just means we're going to agree as to what the substance is. It doesn't mean that in any way growing medical medical marijuana is illegal. That would be nonsensical, because you created a statutory scheme.
Nobody said that.
Yeah.
Well, you created a statutory scheme that allows it to be grown.
Right,
And
that's
so-
correct.
And so,
Where can it be grown?
so now you have to have it somewhere. It's only a controlled substance to the extent that it's a controlled substance, it's legal to have if you have a prescription. If you
Right.
don't have a prescription, it's not legal.
Right.
So it's still a controlled substance in that sense. So that doesn't help us. Where we are right now is whether or not, from a zoning standpoint and a land use standpoint, you can do it on the land. That's what the question is now before the legislature. It has nothing to do with Controlled Substance Act.
Oh, I think it has everything to do with that. That it's not, they're saying that 94C trumps whether or not it's agriculture. And it's not allowed under 48 Section 3, that it's covered by 94C.
I think you have a conflicting statutes there.
I
Okay,
don't
we're
think
gonna go around the room, in the,
Hops that are grown in western Massachusetts, they're normally under the tobacco, alcohol, firearms jurisdiction as a controlled substance, or whatever substance they call it. But it also produces a psychogenic drug that they make out of it that's also a controlled substance. So you have one item that falls both under alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, and the Controlled Substance Act, and it's agriculture. So just because it's a controlled substance does not exclude it from agriculture.
Right.
And that's a fact.
Right.
okay, again, we are gonna do our best. John Henry's gonna be,
I don't need to comment, I wanted to speak on the gravel removal, but way beyond that. You don't need to go back.
the Doyle's next. Again, we wanna narrow this discussion down. The board is seeking, information to make a decision on whether we want to authorize town council to share the template. All right, Doyle's next, then the back of the room.
Basically, I just wanted to, when Mr. McLaughlin did his presentation, he presented it that the law wasn't clear to the House of Representatives and the Senate. And basically, the chief counsel was dismayed that we were even asking for it. He thought it was that crystal clear. And it wasn't just that it was a controlled substance, it was that the workers who do it are not farm workers, are not agricultural workers. It's regulated by the Department of Public Health, not the Department of Agriculture. So it's more than just how he presented it. I mean, they really felt like us asking them to clarify this law was already clear. And I don't think he presented it that way.
Okay, sir?
Yeah, I just have a question for you, Mark, and my question is, I'm not trying to be argumentative, but I just ask in a very respectful way. Do you understand why there might be another point of view about the hosting agreement, that why people might not think, that people would think it's premature at this point? And what I'm thinking about is, let's say Jeff had a business that was less controversial, that was more acceptable, let's say an ice cream shop. You would probably still want to make sure that it was legal and that all the zoning and all the Board of Health and all that stuff was in place before, maybe Jeff was going to be generous and he was going to offer the town a fee of some type. But you would probably want to make sure all these other things were in place before you entertained.
Okay, so that's a specific question to me. I'll respond to it.
Well,
One, I think the zoning is unclear at this point. Town council has told us that she thinks it's okay. We've heard from at least at this point, I think 7 different attorneys, each approaching this in a different way. My simple reading of the bylaws and the laws sound to me like this is potentially legal. We don't know that at this point, so that's still open to question. We're still waiting for a resolution of that. At the same time, I'd love to know whether Mr. Randall and his attorney can craft an agreement that answers a whole bunch of the concerns, and whether they can craft an agreement that ensures the town financial benefits. So I don't think it's premature at all to have these running concurrently. They have absolutely said that if the state legislature quashes this on the basis of zoning, they'll let it go. I'd love to just know, and actually now now, tonight, we know a little bit more. They have changed their proposal on financial to a better agreement, and we're getting up to some real money if we're talking about $100,000 a year, even before increased taxes. So I don't think any of us have made a decision. The more information we have, the better.
Well, my question was, do you understand that there might be another point of view?
Of course I understand it, which is one of the reasons I haven't made any decisions.
And
Martin
just have
State's
one-
already quashed us, though. They told us it's not allowed.
Right.
They've already quashed it, and we're just asking for them to codify it. They've
Right.
already said no,
Do
that
you
it's
want
not
to
allowed.
speak to Sue Plympton?
Excuse me, one person at a time. We're going to go to this lady next.
I'm not on that. I just have to
Name and address, please.
I'm Eileen Rich, and I'm at 307 Main Street. And I'd like to give my opinion for the record that I oppose this project, Mr. Randall. I've lived in this town for over 34 years, and it's the first time that I've had the guts to come down here and say, I'm not happy with what's happening here. Right now, I'm not comfortable living in my house, and I'll tell you why. My house has been hit 4 times. 4 times. I'm 73 years old, and I would like to live my life in peace. There have been 3 break-ins and 1 other incident at my house. The first time, they broke into my shed and stole a lot of stuff. The second time, the guy pushed the AC up in my window and took it out, then climbed in the window, and when I came home, the guy was in my house. My dogs were upset when I came in, and I was looking down, and I did not see that a kitchen cabinet door was open as I walked in the room. So I was trying to take care of the dogs, looking down, and I got down the hall, and the closet door was open, the medicine cabinet door was open in the bathroom. And he was upstairs. He was in my bathroom, and I was downstairs with my dogs. The police brought in a canine dog and chased him through the woods, and he ended up getting in a car at Mayflower Road because it just stopped. He was looking for drugs. He was in every cabinet in my house looking for drugs. And for the record, I don't even take prescription drugs. The third time was on November 13th. I caught a 21-year-old guy breaking into my house. He was strung out on drugs. He had removed a screen from the window. He had a chair with a brick on it to break in the window. He broke in the back porch, but he couldn't get into my main house. He was pounding on the door really hard, and he had a brick in his hand. If I had opened that door, that guy, strung out in drugs, probably would have killed me. I would have been in the hospital. I worked with 4 police officers that night, Steve Craig and David Parker, and we caught him. On December 24th, 2013, we took him to court, and I gave a victim statement. He went to jail for 1 year and 2 years probation. He was from Carver. He walked into our town. He was on foot. He was looking for drugs. The 4th time, a guy came down my driveway in his truck, and he went between my house and my garage. He drove his truck all over my backyard, and he left tire tracks. We followed the tire tracks, and we found his wallet and his cell phone. He was from Middleborough. He could not be charged because we couldn't prove he was driving a truck, that truck. He must have been strung out on drugs because you don't go pulling down somebody's driveway, driving around their backyard. Mr. Randall, is this what you want to attract to town? I mean, this is how many times, I live right on 58. Is this what you want to attract more people like this to our town? I met these lovely people, and they're all in fear of what's going to happen. I live in fear in my house all the time. I have cameras up everywhere now. I mean, a deer can't move in my yard, or a bird or anything without me knowing about it. Everything is recorded because I'm living in a different world. Chief Dillon said this isn't a good idea. Why don't you listen to him? Our chief, God bless him, and the whole department that has stood by me so many times and helped me out. I respect the police officers and the chief and what he thinks should be done to this town. I just have to come here and say this to you personally, because I don't know how you can sleep at night when all of these people are gonna be living in fear of somebody breaking in their house. They haven't experienced that yet, and you're the only person that can stop that.
Can I respond for Mr. Randall?
I just want to say I'm sorry for your comments.
It's a terrible way to live, and I'm in fear. I'm a nervous wreck right now, because every time I think about this, I relive everything that I went through. And when you see a guy strung out in drugs with a brick in his hand,
We all in this room feel for you because it's happening throughout the state, it's happening throughout the country. And there is a huge opioid addiction problem throughout this country, and everyone recognizes it. And that is probably what you are facing. Mr. Randall is seeking permission to supply medical marijuana through treatment facilities and dispensaries to people with prescriptions. These aren't the kind of people that go breaking into houses.
No, but-
These are people who have pain issues, who have medical needs for pain relief.
my
And-
husband died from cancer, so I know what pain relief means. I
Okay,
know that.
folks, we're gonna narrow this discussion down a little. Art Moran had a chance, and then Amy, and then I think I'm gonna make a motion. Yeah,
I have not weighed in with any of the Board of Selectmen by email or telephone or anything else. It seems that here in Plympton, we need some clear and rational thinking. I don't know where I feel about medical marijuana, not necessarily opposed to it, maybe not in agreement, I don't know that much. Thank God I don't know anybody that's needed it. But if I'm gonna start a $5 or $10 million business, so much a pound times the number of pounds that Mr. Randall has talked about, those are the numbers, that's his business. Spend $200,000 or $300,000 or $400,000, buy a chunk of land where Chief Dillon and his officers are gonna look down and say, yep, nothing on that side, nothing on that side, no bad guys around, and then fortify it, stop tearing the community apart. Put it where it belongs, in an isolated field somewhere, not next, I live in a ag res too. I don't want it next to me, and it's not NIMBY. I don't want it next to me.
Thank you.
sir? Ron?
Yeah, okay, again, you specified earlier, not to get repetitious, but I don't know who was here at the last meeting and who wasn't here at the last meeting, but you talked to Wine and Quirk and Copeland and Page. You said they agree that this is agriculture. Well, do they?
Yes, she
Well,
did, but she said it needed to be clarified.
Okay, but they do agree. Well, they agreed that water wasn't a food, and I get back into this again, and they were wrong there. And the town said one thing, and I said another thing. And the town said to me, prove it to me, Ron. And it cost me $251,000 to prove it to them. The Copeland and Page and the selectmen at the time were wrong. Okay, that's one issue. The other issue is, it don't make any difference. I'm in the cranberry business the same as he is. It don't make any difference how much money they're giving the town. I've been in town for 57 years. My mother and father were in town, my whole family was in town. I offered to shingle the roof of the fire station. I offered to give the town 2 cents a gallon on the water that we took out of there. I offered to buy a police cruiser that the town turned down at town meeting. And they told me, the selectmen, the 3 selectmen, you're not gonna buy it. I said, it has nothing to do with money, it's principle. And that's what it gets down to be. And if 3 people, and you got the power to do it, issue this permit, but when you sit back there and you're elected by the taxpayers and the people of Plympton to make a proper decision, you gotta weigh what the numbers are here and how many people are for this and how many people are against it. The other thing I might say, and I'll leave it go with this, something that is as important as this is, that I think it takes 2 out of 3 of you to vote this in, and Mr. Russo ought to step aside, because his term is up in a couple, 3 weeks, and he shouldn't make a rule that the town is gonna live with for the next so many years. And I think you ought to do that out of respect of the taxpayers and the people that put him into office. Thank you.
All right, last one, Amy.
Annie Cronin, 176 County Road, and I haven't weighed in on either side of this, and right now I can see both sides of it. I see some pros, some cons. My question is, you said that we should ask town council to share their template. Will that incur any expenses to the town? Because anything like that, I would think that they would want to pay for, and the town wouldn't incur any expenses if they're trying to get information for us.
Okay.
All right, can I just say something? Ron, I just want to go on the record to say that I voted against the settlement. Water settlement.
I know you did.
That was the question.
I know you did. And I know that, because I.
That was a
talked
bad
about it.
deal. That was a bad
It
deal.
was, it was you and Howard Randall with Ricky Springer.
You can't sell zoning. It's
Yeah,
not
exactly,
allowed
exactly.
where it's proposed.
Huh?
Good thing they're not on board anymore.
Hey,
Okay, we're not going to go back to water right now.
No, water's done.
Water's done for tonight. I'm just going to turn to each selectman, and
Okay.
I'm going to make a
All right.
motion.
Well, all I have to say is that this is allowed, but not in agricultural residential zone. That the bylaws do allow for this activity in a business district, not where they're looking to put it. So I don't think we should be pursuing this because it's not allowed. We've been told it's not allowed. The state's position is it's not allowed. They're clarifying, codifying that it's not allowed. We've already been told that there's any ifs, ands, or buts about it. And even Alana said it needed to be clarified. She said if 94C, if this is covered under 94C, that makes perfect sense. So that, it's not 40A, Section 3, it's 94C. So that it's covered under 94C, and we shouldn't be entertaining it in that location.
Any comments?
I think it's as clear as mud. I don't think it's clear at all. I think that's why there are 20 different lawyers having 20 different opinions. And I think that the legislature does need to clarify it, and that we'll abide by what they say.
Okay.
And that, I just want to say one thing. And to say that a selectman shouldn't vote on something because his term is up we don't have lame ducks. That's just not something.
Okay.
I'm done.
I'm going to make a motion. We're collecting information. We don't know about zoning. Some think it's fine, some think it isn't fine. I want as much information on the table for this board or the next board. So my motion tonight is a very simple one. It will be of absolutely minimal expense. My motion is that we authorize town council to share community host agreement templates with Mr. Randall and his attorney so that they can craft
It's a
a
waste
host
of
agreement.
money. Why are my tax dollars paying for something like that?
Because you voted for 3 selectmen, and the selectmen get to decide whether they want to authorize this or not.
It's our
All right, Maureen, and then we're going to see if there's a second, and we're going to vote on
I
this.
just like the selectmen, I actually agree with your motion, and many of you know that I agree with this project. For many different reasons, and nothing against any of you. I've said it since the last time I was here. We all live together, we work together, our children play together. Don't make a decision like this because mine is different from yours, be angry with each other. That's not what Plympton is.
What has become?
My point that I wanted to make to you, Mark, was to request that the people in Mr. Randall and his lawyer pay for whatever it's gonna cost, the $50 it's gonna cost for them to do this.
Absolutely.
And I don't think there'd be any question or any negative thought to that.
That's perfectly acceptable.
So, wait a minute though, if he's paying our town council, that's a conflict of interest.
No, it is not.
No, my motion stands. I'm not going to get into the cost thing. We can deal with that as if we get further along in the host community agreement. This should be a minimal amount of money. That's my motion, that we authorize town council to share host template agreements. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
One opposed.
Okay. Onward we go. Okay, yeah. Thanks, everyone. We're gonna have like a 3-minute recess, because I know some people want to leave. We got a bunch more business to deal with tonight. Okay, we had a few-minute recess. Folks, conversation other than the topic we're on, please take out in the hall. Thank you. All right, ma'am.
All right, this, actually, Bree was going to speak to this. It came from the town clerk's office. We did close the townhouse again because of snow and the threat of ice and slick roads. Bree?
Yes, I'm here. There was something on the floor. Just kidding.
You missed that. You were lucky.
Yeah.
We had snow when you were
We had
gone.
snow.
It has to
Okay.
do with open meeting law and because FinCom still met. So you were talking about the town closing and
I notified the employees of the townhouse and the heads of the departments, but not the boards and committees. There was a note left on the door that I did, and Tara did go onto the website and posted that the townhouse would be closed. FinCom did meet.
and it was filmed.
And it was filmed. So we came up with, I probably should have checked the town website to see who was having a meeting, or the logbook.
So really, it's just to clarify the notification procedure.
Okay.
So
Not a
it's
big
then let's-
boards and committees, so if the townhouse is to be closed, I guess we would have to look at the, who's having a meeting on that night.
Yes.
And notify that department, and that's where the ball was dropped. But it was put on the website, there was a note on the door. And then I understood that FinCom probably did want to meet anyway, because it's the time of year, it's busy for them.
And they had all showed up.
And they had all
And
showed
the
up
cameraman
anyway.
had showed up, so.
Okay, well, I think the lesson learned on this, as we continue to learn lessons on the snow policy, you know, it goes back to the wisdom of Joe Freitas that originally said, the only snow policy is there is no snow policy.
Absolutely.
We have been stumbling over this all winter.
snowed, it's been a problem.
More and more do I see, Joe, wherever you are, you were such a wise man. All right, so in the immediate, I guess the lesson we learned is we're gonna have to add to our notifications, boards, commissions, committees.
Yes.
Just the chairman. You don't have to do the whole committee. I mean, the chairman should be responsible for notifying.
Because I
the
can
committee
send, and
members.
Tara has, I can't log on to that and do it, but Tara can. And she said she was willing to take that step, where I notify the employees of the townhouse and the department heads, and she would notify the, put it on the town website that the townhouse would be closed due to a snow emergency, and we can
Well,
check.
that would make more sense for her to do that because she's
She can do it
charged
right
the
from her
postings and
server.
all of that, and she could note, yeah.
Okay. Okay, we good on that? Okay.
We were
Good plan.
notified at about 2 o'clock.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Do you believe that the open meeting law was in fact violated by FinCom?
Well, they posted a meeting.
They posted their meeting.
The
They
meeting was
had their-
posted. They could have met at the coffee shop if they'd announced that, made that change, but they
I
didn't
don't know
make
the
that
answer to
change.
that.
They haven't avoided, they didn't violate any. They were posted. It was a posted meeting. They held it where it was supposed to be. I mean, you can close it. You can close the building if you want, but you don't necessarily close it to another elected board if they want to hold their meeting.
I mean, we could look for clarification on it. Luckily, it's not gonna snow more this winter.
The Board of Selectmen, we didn't have a meeting that night.
Right.
Correct, we did not
So,
meet.
I mean, had we had one scheduled, I would have felt like we shouldn't meet. I think there were probably emergency situations and strong time pressure situations, which FinCom may have felt that was at that point. All right, let's let that be. All right, we still got a bunch to go through. So, town report. I guess we are finalizing our decision on the cover photos, is that what we're doing? Bree?
Yes, Tara had to do 2 amendments to her, input into the town report. And one of them was appointed officials, and,
Okay.
she made the amendments. And we are going to put it all together and send it
Okay.
to the press company.
So have we decided on the front cover photo layout, or?
I sent
Okay,
that
so that's
to
what
you.
we're doing tonight? Deciding
Yes.
on this? So I just,
Did you
my
like
two.
that?
What?
Did you like what I sent you?
I do. My 2 cents, maybe it doesn't matter, but I would change the order of them. I mean, we have in the center the raising the funds. I would then put the workers up here, and then the boardwalk and another boardwalk, and this one down here. That we raised the funds, the group built
So
the thing.
switch the,
I would switch this
With
down
that?
here with this one up there.
okay, what happens in that? You end up cutting some of the people out of it. That's why.
Okay. All right.
Because there was space
Oh,
at
it
the
has to
top of
be
the
at the
picture.
bottom. That's right, it's gotta be at the bottom,
Okay, I
so all the
see.
people
All
are
right.
in there.
I tried to put it in an order of
We'll,
us.
we'll let it go. If, are you guys okay with
Yeah, I thought it
that?
looked great, the
Okay,
colors
fine.
were very nice, that red sweatshirt popped, whoever had the red sweatshirt on.
I can switch it, I can try to play with it and send another one tomorrow. But that's the idea of it,
Yeah.
and those are the pictures.
My fellow selectmen seem to be fine with it, and so let it be.
Because I could shrink the person one, like,
Or you
I
could
could
put
make them
people
the
in the middle.
size.
People made it happen.
I like that. Then it would go raise the funds, first boardwalk, second boardwalk, where you end up, people in the middle. That's good.
Yeah.
You wanna do that?
Yeah.
Sure.
You okay with that?
Okay.
Okay, got it?
Yes.
People in the middle, this one goes at the end, or no, then I'll
I'll
check with
do
you
it.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
just send it to Mark.
Okay,
Whatever
all
you
right,
guys come
we'll
up with,
fix
it's
it.
fine.
All right, onward. Maureen, so I don't know if Maureen Springer will be back or not. I guess this goes under correspondence, so we'll let that be. So let's go back to the agenda and see if we can whiz through a few more things here. All right, so continuing discussions on Public Safety Building Committee, any news?
We've got several applications that we're considering, or that I've asked the subcommittee to follow up and try and get at least a ballpark figure from them on the cost for the consultant. And we do have a meeting this week at 6 o'clock on Wednesday. Hopefully just to approve minutes and get that figure so that we can get it to FinCom and get it on the warrant.
Okay. DOR report or Collins report?
We're meeting May 2nd.
Okay. And then on the agenda, we have confirmed comparison communities for the Collins Group. I think we did that, didn't we?
We did, they ended up taking all 7, so, which was great.
Great.
So, they
So,
took everything.
Which are the 7 you wanna?
It
just
was
say more?
Pembroke, Kingston, Carver, and Halifax, Rochester, what were the other 3 little ones,
It was
Colleen?
Brookfield and the other one I couldn't
Berkeley?
remember.
Northborough?
No, Northborough wasn't one of them. Which was the one you said didn't really fit?
The vineyard?
Millville?
Millville.
Okay, so it was Rochester in place of Millville, and then the other 2 stood.
No, that's good. I completely forgotten, but I,
Awesome. Thanks, John.
Okay.
Rochester, Brookfield, Halifax, Carver, Kingston, Pembroke.
Yes, 7 communities that they're gonna look at as comparison communities for our financial policies.
I'm sorry, Rochester,
Okay.
Brookfield, Carver,
Kingston.
Kingston, Halifax.
That's
Sorry,
the one,
my-
6.
Yep. Okay.
This is important.
Oh, yeah, where's
Make
the
sure we get this absolutely right.
I'll send you the email that's got
Okay.
everybody.
So, town meeting, a few things about the warrant. This is kind of snuck up on us, but just a reminder, 2 weeks from tonight is our final chance on the We hand
so
it,
fast.
there could be minor changes that night, but we hand it Tuesday morning, first thing, to FinCom. So what we have left to do is, we need to think about the order of these, the articles, and we're gonna need to vote on all of it.
Okay.
In terms of, and we need to get them vetted by town council.
Right.
So here's what I think I can propose as a way to go about this. We will be meeting Wednesday night with FinCom. We do have on the agenda talking about the warrant articles. And I think by Wednesday night, maybe the three of us should have looked at these and see what suggestions we have on changing the order of things. With your permission, because time is short, I'm hoping that you would authorize sending this off to town council tomorrow morning for her to begin to vet them. So if there are any snags or issues, we could deal with them on either Wednesday or next week.
So these are all pretty much complete articles then? We've gotten
Pretty
rid of
much.
the
There's two that are
placeholders?
not on there yet. There's only two that are still on placeholders. One of those I'm gonna ask town council to write the motion that's on the land purchase.
Okay.
The other is the consultant article for public safety. And I mean, the same article we used last year would probably
So
work
it is pretty much complete.
there
then.
as well.
Yeah.
And in terms of, while you're on the subject, in terms of that, do you want to send town council everything on the warrant? The same ones they've approved for the last 8 years in a row? They don't change. You know, just this 1 through 8, I mean, the 4 being the annual budget, but 1 through 8 you could do on a, what's known as well, first of all, do you want to send those to council because they've approved them year after year and they're the same year after year? The other thing you could do is the moderator could move through them. There's a thing called consent calendar that moderators can use. And basically what they do is they say we're going to take, in this case it would be Articles 1 through 8, with the exception of 4, the town budget, because you would treat that separately.
Here's what I think I'd like to do. Alana and I often communicate at like 6:30 in the morning. I would like to send her, if the board will authorize this tonight, send her a note tomorrow morning saying that later tomorrow you are going to share with her
Just send her what
all
we've
that
got.
stuff. If there's a group that we check each year, maybe in your note to her, you can say
Yeah.
that, and we don't need that explored. Before you send it off, I would like you to check with town accountant on the language of the studio article.
That is going to be, I mean, I spoke with her today, and we came up with, and she said, I called DOR, and this is what DOR said, rescind the other article on the special, and put this in the annual.
Okay,
And it just says, and you'll see what it says in the annual, it just says to.
I do. The legal counsel language is a little bit different. And
Yeah, I know.
if she has no concern about it, I would much prefer to use town council's language, so if it's wrong, it's town council's problem.
Yeah, because DOR never makes a mistake, at least not
Well,
according
no,
to
they
them.
think they never make a mistake.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I mean, fine, I can
DOR.
substitute the language in there, fine, I'll just use
Okay,
that language.
all right.
Yeah.
So, you will tomorrow morning, first thing, share all this with Alana for her vetting?
Yeah, I'll send off to her what we've got. I probably won't send the special, there's not much on it, but I still have to get the information on those 4 pilot agreements.
Okay, or at worst, if you'll just make notes to her, the things that they've already confirmed, she doesn't have to check again, and that you're gonna send the pilot agreements separately. That my concern is that she's gonna get busy, and if we get snags, we need to know it.
This will go to Lauren, none of this is really all that
Yeah, she
complex,
says she's crazy busy now.
so.
And that's the problem, and that's why I'm being kind of compulsive and
Yeah, I think
neurotic
we
on
should
this,
get it
but
to her.
I want.
Yeah, I'll get it to her tomorrow,
okay.
and we'll go from
Yeah.
there.
So I will email you that again. So I make a motion that we begin the vetting process of articles. All those in favor? Aye. All right, now back to scheduling. So we're gonna meet Wednesday night. It's a time to begin to order these. I am gonna actually ask town council if she has any preference on ordering, because, or recommendations on that. I am also going to remind her that we have 10 citizen petition articles, and we may need some input from her on those. Those, as I understand it, cannot be changed. They have to be as published, but there's probably information we need to know about them, and so I'll try to get that. Next week, Monday, is Patriots' Day. In addition, Colleen will be away. I am hoping that we could tentatively schedule what would hopefully be a very short board meeting on Thursday, a week. I believe you're back a week from Thursday.
I am. I do have a commitment at 7:15, so as long as it's before that, I'm okay.
We want to do it at 5:30 because at 6:30, there's something with the Silver Lake land purchase that we're going to talk about in a minute. Maybe we won't even need that, but I think we need a pressure release or final check before we get to a week from Monday night.
This is the 21st, right? Thursday, the 21st.
Thursday, the 21st at 5:30.
5:30, okay.
I will not be here.
All right, that's, I can take minutes.
What's that?
I will not be.
Okay, either Dale will take notes
Yeah, or I
if
can
he's
take
here,
notes.
or one of us will. 5:30, 421. All right,
Okay.
so we end up essentially to finish up with the town warrant. We got Wednesday night, a week from Thursday, 2 weeks from tonight, and then the beast is done.
Yay.
And to reiterate, no meeting next Monday night.
Correct. Okay, good on all that?
Good.
While we're on the Silver Lake thing, because a Silver Lake School Committee member is here, I did receive, yes, it was to me, a communication today from Sandra McFarland, Kingston Selectmen and Chair of the Police Station Building Committee, letting us know that there will be on Thursday, April 21st, that's a week from this Thursday, at 6:30, a meeting concerning the proposed Kingston Police Facility, and that will be a discussion about all that. That's at 6:30, April 21st, at the Kingston Townhouse, which is on Evergreen Street in Kingston. I will be going to that. This is one of many articles we have before us, and, you know, actually we, the three of us, have 2 weeks to make a decision on that one. And Maureen.
As you know, I'm on the Silver Lake Committee with Jason Frazier. This has been going on for about 6 months, back and forth with the town of Kingston. They came to us with a proposal to, they thought we were gonna give it to them as a gift, a 20-acre parcel at the, sort of like if you look at the school and you know where the admin building is, it's way over there. There are some houses, and then it's sort of just, it's in the corner. We can't get to it, we have to go over wetlands to get to it if we would try to get it from the middle school. We looked at it one time to maybe put some fields there, but we felt that trying to get through the wetlands with the kids was just gonna cost too much money. I will tell you that in the beginning, I was completely against this project. I didn't think it was a good place for many different reasons. However, did a lot of work on this, we did a lot of research on it, and the committee unanimously voted to support this. The reasoning behind it is, the parcel that we're gonna sell to them is only 5 acres. 1 acre of it is mostly wetland, sort of like on the tip of the property. We're keeping enough frontage so that we have a buildable lot, access to the other 15 acres if we need to put a building there for whatever reason. I said, it doesn't matter what we want, it matters 20 years down the road, but hopefully I'm not still on the school committee. So I want to tell you that we support it, and I think Kingston's going to request if they can do a little presentation at town meeting. I'm not sure about that.
I thought that that's what they had said,
Yeah.
is they wanted to make the presentation at all 3
Yeah.
towns.
Because we said, you know, it's not Plympton's deal, it's not Halifax's deal, you guys really want this. You know, their chief has been fantastic. I know that he's talked to Pat Dillon and, who's the chief in Halifax? Yeah, I talked to him too, and these guys are all for it because it's one of those sharing facility things. I know recently we shared a training, I think it was a terrorism takeover training thing, which is here with the other towns. And I think this facility is one of those things where if you're bringing in professional development, that would be the place to bring it, and the surrounding towns would share in it. So I think it's got a lot of good possibilities, and we support it, so. That's what I'm saying.
Very
Have a
good.
great night.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
thank you guys for what you do, because obviously I tried to be quiet tonight, that doesn't usually work for me, as, but he always spells my name wrong, so. Good night.
Bye, Maureen.
Okay. Let's see, we're making some progress here. There's a couple of questions about appropriating from the capital stabilization fund in correspondence. I'm going to save that for Wednesday night.
Perfect.
Dale, anything you want to add in a town coordinator report?
No, we've covered it. It's been pretty much all warrants last week.
That brings us to correspondence. Oh, my God.
There's a lot of it.
I'm sorry, we're still on town meeting. We haven't closed the special warrant, which we have to do tonight.
We're gonna do Wednesday instead, because we're gonna add that
You probably
Borrego
said that
stuff.
right. Sorry.
That's all right.
Okay.
All right. Oh, before we do correspondence, can we do, quickly do the possible Economic Development Committee?
Sure.
Okay.
Sorry.
I just wanted to
Sorry.
talk about it, the possibility of us doing this. We desperately need business in our town to help with the taxes. And I just wanted us to talk about the possibility of forming a committee to look at doing that and, just getting the ball rolling to try to get a group that kind of spearheads this, to try to get people interested in bringing business to Plympton.
I've heard that cultivation of marijuana.
Oh, you're so funny.
No, I guess
Well,
not.
actually, there's a really good saying in here. What does it say? Something about things that are consistent with the character of the community. So, anyway, but that's just something I'd like to throw out, that that we look at doing something like that to try to bring business to Plympton.
It's too bad everyone isn't in the room
I
on
know,
this, because
I
this
know.
may be the most important thing underneath it all. I totally agree this should be done. We ended up with Cisco because all the groundwork had been done far ahead of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I totally, completely agree with you.
Okay.
And I think this is one of those ones that it's easy to fall down on the priority list, but in terms of long-range planning, nothing could be more important to the town.
Yeah, I
So-
think this is important with the financial plan that we're doing. I mean,
Absolutely.
we're getting our act together.
We haven't asked about the Carver project.
Yeah, we haven't
It's
asked
off
about
their
that in a
table.
while.
Yeah, it's off their table so far. It's
Okay.
So how do we move forward on that?
Well, there's different sizes of membership. It's usually between 7 and 9 people. Usually the town planner and us, it would be, well, somebody from planning board or maybe zoning enforcement, and either Dale or a member of the Board of Selectmen would be ex officio, no right to vote. They say you should get people with, real estate background on this. I mean, they really look for criteria for people who can, let me see here. With preferences to individuals with professional expertise in commercial real estate financing or development, real estate financing or development, real estate law, utilities, technology, marketing or merchandising, business or nonprofit organization, development, training and education, business owners, or participation in business associations and organizations. So you're trying to get people that are, business-driven with a lot of different expertise to get together to identify parcels of land and try to find people that are looking and match us up so that we can start to work towards developing
So maybe we
land.
should fold this in with a Collins group discussion,
Sure.
because this is an essential piece in
Yeah,
that.
why don't we go, we'll hold this till 5 too.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
All right, there's one or two correspondence pieces.
Okay, there's quite a bit, so. All right, looks like from Columbia Gas, they want to install new gas service 49 Mayflower Street. They're looking to do a road cut 4 by 6 by 30.
So I guess, are we having to make a motion on this?
There's actually 3.
What's that?
Oh, there's 3?
Unclip them.
Oh, there's 3 of them in here?
Yes, that's why I wrote 3 on that little sticky.
Oh,
If you take the
thanks,
paper clip
Bree.
off,
It's actually 3 different locations.
Okay,
just take the paper clip off and you'll see the 3.
so I am looking for something to sign after we
Okay.
vote.
All right, so there's one. All right, the second one is 59 Mayflower Street.
Okay.
4 by 6 by 30. Third is 104 Main Street, 4 by 6 by 10. These are all new gas service.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve these road cuts.
Yeah,
All
and then
three of them.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. I guess you'll have to write to them and,
I usually write them a letter of that we voted, and I
Cool.
send it with the document number. I have a
Okay.
template.
ta-da.
You're gonna like this one. Plympton Girl Scouts second annual dog adoption fair, near and dear to your heart. Let's see.
It was wonderful last year. Do not miss this. Those dogs dressed up in pink,
And everybody got adopted, didn't they? No dog was left behind?
I think that's true.
Okay.
All right, so
9/25/16 is the date. Looks like it's 7 a.m. to 5 p.m.
9:25.
9/25, so September 25th.
So I make a motion, we approve this application pending approval from the
All the
other
other boards and
boards and
departments?
committees.
Okay.
All right. Or so a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we appoint Alexander Navarez as a special police officer until June 30th, 2016. At the request of Chief Pat Dillon.
Okay, I make a motion, we approve this appointment.
Second.
All those in
Aye.
favor? Aye.
Okay, looks like those just need to be signed by you. That's just police business. From ABCC regarding powdered alcohol. Hello. On March 14th, Governor Baker signed into law an act relative to substance use, treatment, education, prevention. This act in part updates the Liquor Control Act, Mass General Laws, Chapter 138. The act defines powdered alcohol as a non-medicinal product in powdered or crystalline form that contains alcohol and is intended for consumption by direct use or when mixed with water or another substance. The act prohibits anyone, including all licensees in the Commonwealth, from selling, manufacturing, and/or possessing powdered alcohol. Be aware that violation of this law is now punishable by a fine of not less than $100 and up to $1,000. So that's,
All right, you're signing this.
Okay.
And just, we're gonna have such a flood of papers, let's just make sure we don't get lost here. I'm gonna hand that back to Bree,
those go to you,
and
Bree.
that can go back to Bree.
That goes to you.
We're making progress.
Okay, so that's that. What is this Girl Scout, community
Okay,
garden?
this is for the sign that they want to do.
Oh, they want to put a sign in their little garden?
Yes.
Okay.
So I sent the application, she sent it back. I forwarded it to the planning,
Good.
to the building department to let, building department, to let them know, and Kathy got it. Bob wanted to know, do you want to waive the $25 fee?
I make a motion, we waive the $5 fee for the community, the Girl
Girl
Scout community
Scouts,
garden.
okay, all right. So obviously it's in compliance with the bylaws, the sign bylaws, that,
Yes, I know that Carlene, did you have a problem with the size?
Well, I think it's a really big sign to be putting out there, but if it's in compliance and that's what they want, I guess it's.
Yeah.
well, I think we need to confirm that this is in compliance, that, because otherwise they're gonna need a variance.
It's 2.5 feet by 4.5 feet, and would be 3 to 4 feet off the ground, and
Yeah, and this
That just
is,
seems
this
really
is
big
two, what, 2 feet 6 inches by 4 by 6?
yeah,
Okay,
2.5 by
so
4.5.
our piece in this is waiving the fee. Whether it fulfills the bylaw requirements is gonna be up to
Yeah,
planning.
have Bob,
Fee waived?
yeah, fees waived, have Bob determine whether or not it meets the criteria. Okay, on March 10th, 2016, the Silver Lake Regional School Committee voted to approve the 2016-2017 fiscal year operating budget of $23,722,366 as the amount deemed necessary for the operating costs of the regional school. If it further approved the reduction of the operating cost by funds estimated on hand of $9,331,389.61 and set the amount to be assessed to towns at $14,390,976.39 as the net amount required for operating costs. It doesn't really give us any, it's just,
Numbers.
numbers.
Good to know.
Okay.
Excuse me, did you go over this one?
Which
This
one?
was for the Board of Health?
No, that one I have not done yet.
Okay,
Thank
what's
you.
behind this though? Open space, two things here.
Okay, and they're not related?
No.
Okay. All right, this is from Art Moran. It looks like they're having, issues with a, trash hauler permit.
Yes.
Okay,
He does not he's not giving them a general liability insurance, certificate of insurance showing that he has general liability.
okay,
He keeps sending just the one that shows his auto,
okay,
from what I understand.
okay,
So he had them put together, or asked them to put together an outline of the dates and times that they spoke,
okay.
and he
So
wanted,
he needs
he wants
the
to
other
fine them
certificate.
$1,000, if you read that.
Plymouth Rock will be fined if proof of coverage is not received by April 19th, 2016. So today's only the what, 11th?
11.
12 today, or,
11.
oh, my clock's on
Do you want to call them and tell
Mid-Eastern
them
time.
exactly what they need to send you?
They have been in touch with, Jerry and Kathy
Jerry
have been
and Kathy?
in touch with Twinbrook. This is the outline of
Okay,
their
okay,
conversations between Twinbrook
Okay.
Insurance, who says that's all, they keep sending the same certificate, and I looked at it.
okay. It's
There's
not
no
what
general
they need.
liability on that. So he turned around and somebody gets hurt, well, if they would talk,
Well, if he doesn't have the proper insurance, then they're gonna have to find a new carrier.
well, he needs to show. If he doesn't, then Art
Right.
wants to fine
But
him.
this is a Board of Health issue. We are being copied for,
Okay,
could we each have a copy of that?
Yes.
okay,
Please?
okay.
Yeah? And look
He just
forward
wanted to
reading.
let you aware
Okay, so that's all it is. He's
kind of
not looking for any action. Okay, it's just an FYI. All right, from the United Way of Greater Plymouth County, spring is approaching. They have, your local United Way has a large supply of free white 33 by 48 garbage bags available for volunteer project. Each bag reads, "A clean and healthy community is the United Way." So I'm not sure if we're doing a town cleanup this year, but if we are, that might be a,
Is that usually garden club?
yeah, they do usually do that.
So
Do
we
you want
pass
to
that
send
along
that to the
them.
garden club? Okay. All right, from Open Space, the Plympton Open Space Committee would like to inform you that we plan to host a day aimed at celebrating and officially opening the Churchill Park and Cato's Ridge conservation areas on Saturday, April 23rd. The rain date is Sunday, April 24th. The event will take place from noon to 3 p.m. Guided tours of the new trail system and our beautiful new boardwalk will be provided. There will be special education activities for children and a brief ceremony at 1 p.m. to thank all of the people who volunteered their time and effort to make these parks a reality. I have already met with Chief Dillon in person to discuss these plans, and he is very supportive. Attendees that day will be encouraged to park near the Ring Road entrance to the parks. In order to facilitate safe access for people as they cross Ring Road, the chief plans to provide an officer and cruiser to assist people crossing the road. We thank you for your support as we continue to build on the considerable momentum and interest and public interest in Plympton Parks, and we certainly hope that you can attend. Alan Wheelock.
Does it say which part of the park? I still have to check on that. Big
Okay.
park. Could be
Yeah, it is a
anywhere.
big park, okay.
Thank
All
God.
right. Nice, that's nice though, a nice activity. Okay, all right, from Jonathan Shaw, he wanted to register his strong opposition to the medical marijuana facility, so why don't we put that in the file with that. Looks like from Lynch, Malloy and Marini, this is our audit proposal.
Annual on it.
So that needs to be
I make a motion that we authorize,
the chair to sign. I'll second.
second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, lastly, we've got the Plympton Halifax Express. This one, I don't think we were in this one at all.
But just throw it away if we weren't in there. Why do they do it?
Because we didn't meet that week.
Oh.
Yeah, so there wasn't
Oh,
anything in
yeah.
there, yeah. I got it at home, I already looked. All right, 10 citizens petitions to be voted at ATM, the annual town meeting, Brook Retreat Grow Up, so it talked about all of those. It actually had an article about the young man that attempted break-in, Shane Sullivan, a article on him. And I think, and then Dear Graduation, very nice pictures. There was the chief and Sheriff Joe McDonald and Steve Terry there, handing out diplomas and shaking hands, and looked like the assistant superintendent was there. So nice pictures of that, and final essay winner, Brendan Williamson.
Yeah,
Read what
look
he
at all
learned
that
from the
hair.
DARE program. I know, isn't he a lucky duck? Has such a beautiful head of hair. Okay.
He's not taking after his dad on that level.
And that is it for Plympton.
Okay.
Wasn't there also a stack of marijuana letters?
I put them in the file with that. I
Oh.
didn't know that one was left.
There was, we did get some letters of support from the Nezarellas. We got a couple emailed today from
I
the
didn't get those.
Winslows. Let's see, Dylan Nezarella, Shelby Nezarella, Stephanie Nezarella. This one we read last week, Chesterton Knight. We all got copies of that. I didn't realize he sent them to you too. I thought it was just me. So I read that one several weeks ago. These are letters of support.
Okay, this must be what Mr. Randall wants a photocopy of.
Yeah, maybe it's a form letter.
I don't know if this is what he's looking for. Is he looking for the signatures from the people that were electronic?
Well, yeah, we took them down to the town clerk, and she said she couldn't certify them because they were electronic signatures, and a lot of them weren't even from Plympton. So I'm not sure what he wants. Okay, Abdu Nezarello, Michael Giordani, Diane Giordani, Jen McDonald. That one I cannot read.
Could you check with Mr. Randall tomorrow and see exactly what he's hoping to have photocopied?
I think that's what he was looking for.
I think he wanted these.
These, all right. Can you photocopy and get those to him?
This was the standard letter that was sent out. I think
Yeah,
Gail
Vicki
might have sent it.
Alfretti
Yeah.
and Amy Martell. Okay.
Actually, can you just scan them and send
I'm
them
gonna
to
scan
Yeah,
electronically
email
instead
yeah,
of?
just email.
Yeah, that'd be
That way
better.
quicker, doesn't
Saves
cost us
trees.
anything. Okay.
Should I scan and email the other one, or just these? I
He
think
provided that other
Why don't you
petition.
scan and email that and see if that's
Yeah, that's what he wants. He was providing the other stuff, so.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, all
Okay.
right, that's it.
All right, dates to remember, I think we got this pinned down. We are meeting Wednesday night and a week from Thursday night. Public safety is meeting this Wednesday night, and
Yeah.
we don't know what after that. Is that, or no, we do know.
We have a presentation by Mod Space, the modular builders, on the 27th.
On the 20, yep, okay. And we are meeting with the Collins Center May 2nd.
Right,
We have one set of minutes.
right.
This is for March 28th. I wasn't here, and so I'm gonna stay out of this one. Did you have a chance to look at
I
these?
did, and I had a couple of corrections.
All right, I'm gonna start. Good night.
Good night. I'll email you.
I'll leave with the press.
Okay, it's called the Collins Center, isn't it?
Yes, Collins Center.
Okay, so a couple times it's referred to as Collins Group, and I think that's what we say out loud, but it really is the Collins Center.
Okay.
And then under regionalization with comparison towns, it isn't really regionalization. It's, the Collins Center asked us to select some towns to be used for comparison.
Right, for financial policies.
And they asked us to choose 2 local towns and 2 towns of similar size. Frank should be capitalized, and you don't need to call me madam.
I didn't know what to call you.
Chairperson was fine.
I liked madam.
Yes.
Then there was a space between 6 and town that was missed.
Should I get rid of the 6 or should
No,
there be a space?
you need to put a
actually?
space between
Okay.
the 2006,
Okay, good.
16 and town meeting.
Kristen, you wanna?
Yep, absolutely.
All right, so is there a motion to accept those minutes as amended?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And one abstention, please, since I wasn't here.
Dustin?
All right, so no meeting next Monday.
Yay.
Meeting Wednesday instead. It's basically warrant, right?
Yes.
That's,
Well, you're meeting this Wednesday.
Well, this Wednesday is warrants. It's also FinCom's pretty much last shot at letting us know what's happening with the budget.
okay.
And also next week, because there's no meeting and I'll be out of the country, Christine, you're gonna have to come in at night to sign the
Absolutely,
warrants.
not a problem.
Who made the motion, I'm sorry, for this minutes? 'Cause if
I
you-
did.
You did, okay,
And then Colleen seconded.
thank you.
You have
And
that one to
Mark
sign.
abstained.
And just a reminder, we need to work on ordering the town meeting articles. Maybe we'll have a chance to talk about that a little bit Wednesday.
Okay.
That's actually a pretty interesting challenge, because there's a lot on there, and
Thanks for.
there could be a lot of strategizing, or maybe we just leave it how the heck it came.
I know, we used to take them how they came in.
There are some towns that actually do this now by lottery, to avoid any shenanigans.
At the town meeting.
Pardon?
At
Really?
at the
Yeah,
town meeting, they
exactly.
do it by
Cool,
lottery.
so everybody has to go to
They
the
have to
whole
go and
thing.
they have to
Stay
stay.
the whole time.
Yeah,
Interesting.
that's not a bad idea.
Not a
actually.
bad idea. I
Okay,
don't think I wanna start it
And I
this
did
year.
want to let you know that the fire, highway, and police departments have given me maintenance for their vehicles and training outside of Maya that they've done. So we're gonna get some nice credits off insurance.
Sweet.
well
Good.
done. All right, any last
Thank you
words?
for-
Any-
Yes, that was very nice of them.
Okay.
Time for home, that's
We
the last
appreciate
word I
everyone that has sat through all this, a lot to do,
Thank you.
done, and to do, and we wish everyone a good week. We'll be back
Take care.
Wednesday night.
Can't believe you stayed for the
Thanks,
whole thing.
everyone, good night.
Good night.
Can't believe you stayed for the whole.